Welcome back to Open Your Eyes on this lovely Wednesday morning. We're moving on now into our first segment for the morning. Actually, it is a definitely wonderful topic to reckon with. Belize International Film Festival. And we've got the folks in to tell us all about it. As a matter of fact, in with us, Mark Ang. He is the founder of FFIFA, which is actually Formosa Film Festival of International Filmmaker Award.
Right.
I love that. I love that. Natalie Thompson is in with us. She's a producer, director, project development. We love that. And Chris Pack is in with us. Coolest shirt ever. He's a producer. Guys, good morning. And it's so nice to have you in.
Good morning.
Welcome to Belize.
Thank you.
Wow, look at those faces. Those faces are, I'm sure, they're Johnny Cakes, they're Fry Jacks, and they're rice and beans. What do you say, huh?
Yes, hopefully, for breakfast.
Thank you.
So the Belize International Film Festival is here. We got to understand things kick off today, actually.
Right, yes.
And it is something that's actually resonating with Belizeans to the fullest. So we're looking forward to it because we know how far it could take us. Tell us about your experience so far here in the country and your thoughts on the International Film Festival. Anybody? You know what? Let me go with the guy with the Superman shirt on.
This is actually my 8th trip to Belize.
Oh, wow.
And I think my 4th film festival. And so it's a pleasure to be back, to also see how Belize and the film industry is growing. And last year I was working with a class on screenwriting. And in the past year there's been a wonderful cohort of Belizeans developing and writing their own stories. And so it's exciting to see many of those stories coming to life.
Wow. Your experience? Tell us about it.
Well,
Tell us how you feel.
I arrived in Belize yesterday, and it's my first time in Belize.
Wow.
I mean, I've been invited to the festival before, but it's always a difficult time in November. I am originally from Jamaica, and it's a busy time for us. So this is my first time. So far, it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to looking at all the movies that have been coming from the region, because we are trying to get our industries going within the entire, English-speaking Caribbean region, and I think the time has finally come where the industries within the region are going to take off, and so it's very exciting for us.
Mark.
Well, I'm from Taiwan. It's my first time to be here, and I know Taiwan and Belize has always been good friends.
Yes.
For 30 years. It's 30 years anniversary this time.
Yeah.
So it's my first time to come to the central part of America, and I'm really amazed by the view and the people. Yeah, just very nice here, and everything is really different. I can't believe that I'm in Caribbean Ocean. Yeah, and I'm here to give a keynote speech.
Yes.
And had some conversation with the local filmmakers, and so we had a great time yesterday, and we did a lot of brainstorming to figure out what can we do in the future in Belize. So yeah, we had some good ideas and talked to the niche. Yeah, maybe it will be some foundation to build up the film industry in the future.
Wow.
Yeah. And I hear that all is a common goal from all three of you, and collectively with those who are working on the ground here, the organizers of the festival. This is the 14th festival we'll be having. I want to tap into first regionally, Natalie, because you mentioned it, and look at, you said we're primed to really get the industry started. It's like an engine that feels like it's been revving for a while, and we're all waiting for someone to kind of press the gas on it. If you were to reflect on what you think are some of the reasons why the film industry in Belize, in the region we've had some products come out, but just not really showing the wealth untold of our region.
I honestly believe, having been in this business for many, many years, 45 years, that with us, the older people in this business, we basically started out making television commercials, and for many years it was comfortable for us.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make film, but it was not financially feasible for us to leave what we were doing and to move forward to make films. So we held back ourselves within this industry. The young people today do not have that option. Television commercials is not a viable income stream within the region anymore because television, local television, I mean, you're
Yeah.
in the business, is not as big as it used to be.
Yeah.
We don't make the $1 million commercials, we don't, not anymore. So I think, and we have young people. A lot of our good filmmakers are people who worked within the industry left. They left the region. They went to the States, they went to Europe, and they made their careers, you know, there.
Yeah.
Now they're home. And they're, you know, the idea of making films, you make films on your phone, you make films on Instagram, you make, I mean, the 7-second films, the
Yes.
2-hour films. Young people are creating.
Yeah.
They're creating. And so the time is now coming where our stuff is going to get out there.
Yeah.
And you see them bubbling. They're winning international festivals with their shorts.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think what's fascinating about it is that the Caribbean itself has an appeal. You know, we're
Oh,
the
yes.
white sand, blue sea that most people want. You're reveling in the fact that you're in a Caribbean nation.
Right.
Do you find that perhaps that's the aspect that locally we want to share? Because we had one of the producers yesterday from Belize. He has a short in the competition. He said, you know, everybody shows the Caribbean Sea. I want to show Belizean life. And is that where perhaps we have untapped potential? Anyone?
If I could,
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We need to show the culture within,
Yeah.
and that is where everything comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamaica is known for Little Island. We're very well known out
Yeah,
there, and then you know it's like that. But nobody ever sees where that comes from,
Yeah.
and that is where it's starting now. And I think it's great.
Yeah. Chris?
Last year, this time, I was traveling with a friend of mine who's from India. And when he landed in Belize, and he's darker skinned, they said, welcome home. And I think, to me, that was a beautiful testament to Belizeans being a welcoming nation, but also a diverse nation. Rooted in many stories, many stories with many languages, all of which need to be and are learning to be celebrated. And how those stories can be shared as people, like you're saying, they're shooting with their phones or other things, whether it's short form or long form content.
Yeah.
I think that's something that is needing to be tapped into. Not telling stories, say, for white Hollywood, telling stories that are genuine to Belizeans and different groups of Belizeans and different aspects of Belize and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And also then the conversations between maybe Belize and Jamaica and Taiwan, where
Yeah.
we have stories of people getting to know each other from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
You know, I'm listening. Listening to what you guys are saying, it comes to mind that we actually have got what it takes. We want to show culture out there. That's what we're built on. We're building, especially for a country which is a part of Central America and the Caribbean. So we've got the best of both worlds. We're hearing what we've got. Can I hear from you guys, any one of you? We know that this is your first time, so I'm not, you know, I definitely want to get to you. What are we lacking? Why are we not as far, even though there is technology on the side? What are we lacking? Chris, producer.
I think I think there's tremendous talent in Belize. Bavia is a tremendously strong organization with talent. And I think for all of us, even myself, like thinking we all can grow as storytellers, you know, and that's learning how to tell stories better, how to use the equipment better, and learning and listening from each other and also others around the world in the region that, you know, these are different ways that stories can be told.
Yeah.
You know, so as I've been working with Nigel and Suzette and the Film Commission and Niche and the president of Niche, having conversations, say, okay, what if we were to have legislation for the film industry with incentives that benefit both Belizeans and draw international productions? What always goes along with that, because I sit in the Producers Guild of America International Committee as well, when international producers come in, they say, okay, what are the incentives? How does the money work? And what's the crew base like? And so it's also saying, okay, as opportunities grow and the film industry grows, looking at real jobs with real skills. And sometimes there's saying, okay, we're very skilled in this area, or maybe we need more people in this area, you know. And so that's, as you have conversations about legislation, it also goes in hand to say infrastructure and capacity.
Yeah.
And that's where working with Bavia and that tremendous talent group that's there,
Yeah.
building on that solid foundation and dreaming together.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, good.
Well, I think what we need in Belize is confidence. Because in our conversation yesterday, people mentioned about money, mentioned about the lack of talents. But actually, you can find talents by Bavia, the organization, and they also have talents where every year when they meet, connect, network together in the festival. I think what they need is confidence and hope. That, you know, in Taiwan is Belize very similar with each other. We both speak our official language is the most powerful language in the world. Our official language is Mandarin, and Belize is English. We're both next to the very, very powerful commercial film market. We next to China, and Belize is Hollywood. So in the Taiwan film industry, once there has been a golden age of art movies in Taiwan, but because of money, everything is about money. So we change into the commercial film that looking forward to the recognition by the market, so that people can fund us. So we once confused. We for a period of time, people trying to make movies that fit targeting the audience in China. So the movie talking about stories that never happened in Taiwan, and trying to use the language or even the accent in China. But year by year, we found we cannot beat them because we are not from China. We're Taiwanese.
Yeah.
So, but we found something successful, and we should do is that we have to tell the story in Taiwan. Sorry, the Taiwanese story in Taiwanese language, in the value of Taiwanese, but we in a universal way to tell the story. I think what we should encourage Belizean filmmakers is to tell their story here, in their language, in your language, based on your value. Because the most successful case is the Indian movie, Dangle, and Three Idiots. I'm not sure if you know that. It starring Amir Khan. And it's a very, very successful movie to talk about the local story in India, talk about the female right, talk about the relationship between daughter and father in India, and using their own language. They don't use it English; they use their own language, but they had great success.
Yeah.
But they put subtitle in English, of course. So I think the only thing we need in Belize, both in Taiwan or in other, not that powerful country, we need confidence to tell our story.
And if I could just add one,
Of course.
we need to be unified. That has been a problem with our industry, and I know probably in Belize as well. Everybody has to come to work together.
Right.
And that's what we're learning now. And I think in Belize, if you move that way as well, you'll find that there's greater success.
Right.
Not, it's a very egotistical business, and everybody wants to be the star and everybody wants to be the top director.
Yeah.
But working together, bringing your talents all together to tell your stories. When you walk around Belize, you see all sorts of different people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, there must be so many stories there. And tell those stories, but come together to tell those stories.
What I get from you is a general sense of excitement. You see potential that perhaps we have long overlooked here in Belize. And I want to ask, because our film festival has been growing, and it's a great achievement. And while we're talking about building our own market, the festival is also a way of us to kind of get our stamp out there that we're trying to work on this. What motivates you to participate in this festival? And I'm going to start with Mark. Mark, you're the keynote speaker. You are extremely accomplished in what you've done. You said this is your first time here.
I'm flattered.
So what makes you want to decide to participate in the Belize Film Festival?
Because I had the same experience with those talented, filmmakers here. Because they say there are a lack of professional crew. They cannot find professional, well-trained members to work with. They cannot find money. I got my short film awarded 56 times.
Yes.
One short film, but the short film was produced out of money, zero budget. I found my crew, my members. I used to be a commercial director and made a lot of money, but I just over a period of time I was confused. I don't know what I want to do, so I just travel around the world. So I spend all the money. So when I want to make my film, I have no money.
That's an investment.
I invest in my life, my spirit.
Yeah.
So I just produce it from the draft, from scratch. Scratch out at zero budget. So the only thing, but I just keep seeking for talent who has passion to making film. I think it's not a problem. That just like Natalie said, the only thing we need to do here is to connect, to network all the talent together. I'm not sure about the situation in Belize. Maybe everyone is so remoted, but Belize Film Festival is a good platform. You can build up this database and just build up a Belizean IMDb. Just you can put everything on it. As everyone can reach everyone. So year by year, we can find talent we want because we have so many films.
Yeah, we do.
So the reason I want to come here is to encourage them, to encourage Belize that you always have opportunity. Because the world is growing and the internet is so easy to access. So you can reach everything, and you can put your work before you can have the value of commerce. You just put it online, but let people to see you. So I want to encourage them just to keep the hope.
Now, how are you going to use your experience of your short Replace? I don't want to make you say your whole keynote speech here, but it is a great experience to be able to share with Belizeans so that they can understand, we can understand, that sometimes you think that you're starting as the underdog, but you still have so much potential to be able to make great achievements.
Can you repeat your question again?
Just how do you share your experience of creating your short?
Well, actually, I asked them questions. Yesterday, I just keep asking them questions. What the challenge they think, and what do you think? Any solution? Actually, the answer always hidden in the questions. They keep asking questions, and little by little they found their answer. The solution is over there. Just they know each other over there, right there. When they say they cannot find well-trained people, every well-trained talent, but they are having conversation with 8-10 filmmakers. How come they cannot find their crew? So that's a problem that people just not connecting. So the only thing I want to share is keep asking questions and to bring them the hints to find the solutions.
And Chris, we know that it's Mark's first time, it's Natalie's first time, but she has been invited so many other times. But she's a busy lady, obviously. It's your 8th time. You've seen 7 so far. This time around, you're going to see your 8th. Why here for? What brought you back for all those times, and what have you seen in terms of how we've evolved from what you've shared with us, with them?
To me, first, it's always about relationships. It's not just falling in love with Belize and the
Yeah,
people.
we know you're in love with Belize, sir.
Yeah,
It's all good.
but also the people of Belize and the friendships I've developed,
Yeah.
knowing that there's stories to be told here, but also it takes hard work.
Yeah.
Sometimes in Hollywood we see the glitz and we see the glamour, and most people come and they visit the Hollywood stars during the day and they're like, this is it. It's kind of like dirty streets and there's stars in there, and it's not all that it's made out to be, because we're very good at curating our own stories.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hard work that goes into telling stories. And so because of my relationships with Nigel and Suzette and the President Nitch and others in the community with Bavia, and I filmed in Belize 7 times with my show Island Hunters back in the day, is that it takes time to grow. Sometimes we want tomato plants that have an immediate fruit. But what we're talking about here is fruit trees.
Yeah.
And the trees need to grow and to mature. And sometimes we think, this is the best orange on the tree. And the first year it's a sour orange. Now, the thing is like, okay, do we say this is not an orange? No, it's still an orange. But it takes time for things to sweeten up.
Right.
And that means for the industry to mature is looking at, okay, will the government of Belize put up funding for storytellers? Will they support with legislation for domestic and international? Will advertisers step up to the plate and also start honoring storytellers with the correct amount of funding, whether it's music or they're telling stories and they're licensing content? Because the business of entertainment, not the business of Hollywood, the business of entertainment means that there needs to be money and sustainable careers. And even on the legal side, for example, like when you're saying, okay, I'm telling a story, but if you don't have the releases, all the fun legal paperwork that we sometimes drown ourselves in on on any production, do Belizean productions have that all set up in place? Because some Belizeans have come to me and say, I'd like to sell mine into the international market. And my first question to them is, how's your legal?
In other words, has everyone agreed to be a part of the production?
Well,
And signed.
well, from a location to the actors, the music to the artwork, everything. And thinking about also as a business product, not just a story. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, so what I hear from you is that perhaps we need to start from the point where we're thinking internationally of a business product, rather than thinking that I want to get it on Channel 5 to show to Belizeans, where we'd probably not have the same regulations as if we want to get into another market. And is that what you're getting at?
I'm saying that is Belize wanting to foster a market internally and externally.
Yeah.
And they can go hand in hand. And so if Belizeans are telling stories, which they are, will the Belizean market honor them for their work? Will they, if advertisers and the government and other private investors step up to the plate and help create a viable business model for the stories to be told? And so it's not just a hobby, it's a career.
Yeah.
Are there models like in other parts of the world, in the region, for like seed capital?
There has been.
Yeah.
I mean, certain countries, like Trinidad and Tobago, is very supportive of their film industry, of their creative industries.
Yeah.
And it's because they had the wherewithal. But governments, I think, have to understand that with the creative industry, it's not only making money, it is putting money into developing your culture.
Yeah.
And it is very important that they understand that this is what this is. And we have to take our hats off to Belize. This is the 14th film festival.
Yes.
I don't think there's any other country in the region who have had a film festival going for 14 years. You start, you stop, you go, you drop down,
Right.
everybody has been trying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Belize has gone on for 14 years. I know it hasn't been easy. I mean, it has been difficult. But we have to get everybody to work together.
Yeah.
And it includes governments.
But you see, that buy-in, I think, is perhaps where the disconnect is. And we hear it a lot with creatives in general. You can be a musician, you can be a visual artist, you can be in any form where you creatively express who you are. And it doesn't have to be cultural music, as cultural as Garifuna drumming. It can just be a Belizean identity. But it's very difficult for people to kind of see the tangibles in the preservation of culture, even in the film industry.
Yes.
What's a good way to be able to explain, if you were to make a pitch for perhaps being able to provide, clearly you can't provide all the resources, but the substantial resources for us to have the tools to grow the industry? What would that be? What are the tangibles?
One thing to, like, before entertainment, my background is as an anthropologist. And I think that's something I take into the conversations that you're asking with the earlier question, is why here? We're trying to grow a fruit tree, right? But also, there's so much diversity in Belize that as you're looking at telling these stories, you don't need to tell the story for Hollywood. You're telling your own stories.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that's where it's learning to celebrate the culture and creating a business model or business models where Belizeans aren't saying, okay, advertisers or other stations or networks saying, can we get your stuff for free? You know, can we actually honor people for the work? You know, and sometimes also people think this is a cash cow, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. It's hard. It's hard work. Most filmmakers, even in Hollywood, are in Hollywood on the West Coast of the United States, are struggling to make ends meet. You know.
Yeah.
I might have gotten slightly off topic, but
You wanted to follow
I
up.
just wanted to follow up on one thing. I think one of the tangibles, ask your government, what do we have to show for our history? What do we have in our archives visually? I mean, you can get visual archives from the United States, from Great Britain, from the major countries. What do we in the region have as our archives? Probably nothing. And that, if we don't do it now, if we don't start doing it now, if we don't start telling our stories now, we're never going to, when our children, our grandchildren in the future, they won't have anything to show in their archives.
Yeah.
That's true.
So this is like, storytelling to me is like a campfire. And when I was in university, I remember sitting with one of my friends who was Maasai. And he and his community would gather around the fire and tell the stories. And so whether it's mobile content or film or television or whatever it might be, for Belize to create campfires, to celebrate whether you're Indian descent or Scottish descent or all the different, you know, Garifuna, creating the campfires for the community to preserve. Like I recently just saw a full dome, a 360 dome, like an observatory documentary on language, lost languages. And it's saying, okay, there's telling the stories and preserving those languages and preserving those stories. And I think with what you're saying as well, is like, that's so important. And so we need to preserve our stories, or be the ones who self-determine what our voice is, not for Hollywood to say. You don't need Hollywood to validate your story. Your story is worth being told.
Right here at home.
Even if you pull from history. I mean, I'd hate to see someone come internationally and take some of our stories that we know. I've always said some stories are made for TV, that we know from our history, and recreate them. We would love to see somebody do it here. Before we completely run out of time, I don't want to lose the opportunity, Natalie, to just talk about how we're doing with women in film. You are the only female on this panel. One of the key drivers, though, I have to say, behind the film festival is Suzette Zaiden, and just been pushing and pushing behind the scenes.
And I know that because we meet, Suzette and I meet at festivals, at different gatherings of filmmakers. I know in my country, I don't know about in Belize, but in my country, the women are rising up in the film industry. The short that I was talking about was, when I started, I was the only female director. There were only 2 of us. And all the business was controlled by male at that time. And so it was difficult for us because we had to make our stand and, get our place. But I think within the region, we're coming. Because that short film I spoke about, that was women. Yeah. Women cinematographers. One of our women cinematographers just won an award in Toronto as a director cinematographer. So, we're getting there. And I think Belize, because it has led this for so many years, it will come.
And finally for me, I know we're pressed for time, but we did mention of the buy-in from government, and the government must try to put something in it because it is very expensive. It is an expensive industry. But I think as well, and we hear it a lot, especially sitting here and then talking to artists, they're saying, you know what? People are not buying into what we've got because it's not American, it's not Taiwanese, it's not Jamaican. How, especially back home in Jamaica or in the US or in Taiwan, what is the buy-in to make sure that the population support your product?
Well, for us, and I think for Belize as well, you have to show them, like Chris has said, that your culture is worth buying into.
Yeah. Right.
And they have to agree to this. They have to agree that it's not for you. They're not doing this for you. They're doing this for the country, for the culture, and for everything that is there. And they have to understand that this is something you have to nurture. Like you nurture everything else.
The markets are shifting. Years ago, I had products, they're international products. In the United States, it's like, no, we want US domestic.
Yeah.
The world has changed with Netflix and Amazon and other people telling stories, and not even Western streaming platforms. If you try to create a story, you think, okay, like I'm working with some writer directors and developing the stories, and they're trying to create a story they think Hollywood like. My goal for them and my coaching for them is to get closer to the heart and to their story. Because the closer you are to the experience, the more genuine it is.
Right.
And if you're trying to tell an American story and you're Belizean, you're gonna fall flat.
Yeah.
But when you put your hand to the heart of the story and it's your story, you know that heartbeat. You can say boom, 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 boom.
Excellent.
What I want to say is that just follow what they said is just be patient. We have to keep walking, and we keep walking in the right direction. Is tell that just stick on the ground. Just not to think too much. Just tell your story from the bottom of your heart, and you will find your fellows, your partners coming with you.
Gonna fall into place.
Yes.
Well, we thank you for this conversation this morning. And I know that you have quite a job in front of you. You're going to be judging this year in the festival. And Mark, you are the keynote speaker tonight at the opening. So we do want to remind everybody that the film festival opens tonight. You can get the schedule, I believe, on their Facebook page and the website. And you can go out and check out some brand new films that perhaps you would not have been exposed to, but it's great entertainment and a great way to show your support as well. Thank you all for coming in.
Okay,
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the new CEO of Digi, talking about Destination Greatness and their fiber rollout. That's coming out after the break.